What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where in this one I want to talk a little bit about the cornerback position, and I think you guys probably understand right where I'm going with this one. Okay. And of course, we're going to be talking about Xavier Howard, right? Guy that has come in week one, going up against the Dolphins, his former team. He helped us be able to win against them. Defense overall had a really good game against the Dolphins. Dolphins offense obviously been struggling a bit, so they were able to have a good game. Xavier Howard comes in, does pretty well in that game, recovers a fumble forced by, I believe it was Kenny Moore, if I'm correct. And so overall, after week one, was like, oh, okay, Xavier Howard, like he's going to fit in this defense. Lou Anarumo, good relationship. We're all good there. Well, since then, it has not been great at all. Right. And just in this past game, you think about the last game here against the Rams, all day long against Puka Nacua, which Lou Anarumo, for any criticism you want to give to him, he deserves to keep Xavier Howard out there on Puka Nacua. Even if you wanted to keep Charvarius Ward on Devontae Adams all game. Like, for the most part, Devontae Adams had a quiet game. Even on the touchdown, Charvarius Ward was right there in coverage, just not close enough to stop the touchdown. Nick Cross gets out of place, or else it would have been a touchdown, or maybe Matthew Stafford doesn't throw that ball at all. Whatever the case, Xavier Howard being on Puka Nacua did not work. Right, you had to put somebody else in there. Jonathan Edwards ends up with a very important pass breakup at a point in that game in the second half. I thought Mekhi Blackman, he tripped over himself on the play that Tutu Atwell scored on. We had 10 people on the field. Overall, not great there, right? So we obviously need to do something about the secondary, right? We were able to get Mike Hilton in, and Mike Hilton comes in, makes an immediate impact. Mike Hilton had a good game. It wasn't like he was getting killed all day. So feel good about for when Kenny's out, we have Mike Hilton. I'm glad, right? When you see 33 out there, just know it's not the old 33 that we had, new 33. Mike Hilton had a pretty good performance yesterday. Xavier Howard did not. Just looking at yesterday, okay, there are numbers here, and shout out to Mike Chappell for putting numbers up here for Xavier Howard through the year. But this is from Noah Compton, who said got these numbers from PFF. He had gave up 7 receptions on 9 targets. He gave up 112 receiving yards, 1 touchdown, and a 155.6 passer rating against the Rams. So overall, just a terrible performance. I mean, those numbers are unacceptable. 7 for 112 and a touchdown is insane. That, for any corner in any game, that's insane. Right? And then again, some numbers here from Mike Chappell, right? Shout out, Chap. Said, according to PFF, QBs have a 139.2 rating when going after Colts cornerback Xavier Howard. Overall through this season, 16 of 22 for 195 and 3 touchdowns. Howard had a ton of trouble versus Puka Nacua, who finished with a career-high 170 yards. So overall, when you look at the defense, like outside of Xavier Howard, like defense isn't that bad. Obviously, the run defense is something that, we're concerned about. It's something that we need to continue to work on getting better at. We go in spurts where we're letting up big chunk gains, and we go in other spurts where we're not giving up much in the run game. We need to be more consistent there. With that, I think people need to also understand this is the NFL. A lot of things geared toward the offense. Right now, teams are starting at the 35. You really only need 2 first downs and you're in field goal range with the way these kickers are nowadays. So everything's geared toward the offense. I'm not going to harp too much on the defense. I think they're playing pretty well. To be honest with you, I thought they did a good job in most of the game. Obviously, the 10 players on the field and Tutu Atwell touchdown, not great. But outside of the Tutu Atwell touchdown, the only time the Rams really moved the ball against us was when they were running the hurry-up offense. And that has been something through the first 4 games, even in the Dolphins game, when the Dolphins ended up having some yards and ended up getting some points. It was when they ran the hurry up. Now, we were running a soft zone, and we were up, 33-0 at that point. It didn't really matter. But nonetheless, when teams run the hurry up against us, it hasn't gone well, and it didn't go well against the Rams. They got 2 touchdowns running the hurry up offense against our defense. Other than that, defense played really well. They gave up 3 points on a short field from, on the first drive when Daniel Jones threw the interception. Rams started around the 50-yard line, and we only give up 3 points. I thought the defense did a good job yesterday for the most part, except for Xavier Howard. Xavier Howard was clearly a liability. 4th and 2 near the goal line when the Rams had to get a touchdown on us, and he's not up on Puka Nacua. You have to understand at that point. I mean, going into the game, I saw numbers where Puka Nacua hadn't had a red zone target. So, it makes sense, but he probably doesn't have a red zone target because that's probably the first person Matthew Stafford is looking for is Puka Nacua. He's the best wide receiver in football right now. Why are we not playing up on him? It's only 4th and 2. They can get a first down. Also, they were 9 yards away from a touchdown, I think is what it was. What are we doing? What are we doing? And so Xavier Howard just overall not playing well, and you have to find an answer, right? And we've talked about Gilmore. We've talked about the possibility of, hey, maybe Asante Samuel Jr., if he gets cleared, he has to meet with medical staffs and get medical clearance in October from the procedure that he had in the offseason. But if he's cleared, probably a pretty good option. He had a really good first 3 years, dealt with injuries last season, and hasn't been able to play so far because he needs to get the medical clearance. But what I saw on Twitter, I believe this was yesterday before the game. Yeah, it was yesterday, 8:26 a.m. I thought this was interesting. Obviously, the Seahawks played on Thursday, so this news coming out was interesting. Let me go ahead and show you guys what I'm looking at here. Right, we have Ian Rappaport, who says, with Seahawks star cornerback Devin Witherspoon returning on Thursday, teams are monitoring Pro Bowl cornerback Reek Woolen as a possible trade target by the deadline. Woolen's playing time has diminished, and in a contract year, teams believe he could be available. So I think that's an interesting option. Reek Woolen, when he came into the league, kind of took the league by storm, right? Somebody who was really good, somebody who, when he was coming out, a lot of Colts fans said, hey, let's go get this guy in the draft. He has the physical tools that Chris Ballard looks for, right, in terms of his cornerbacks. And he came in, had some good years. There have been tough moments, but again, it's the NFL. There's some really good receivers. He's had some tough times, but a really good player. And I think Reek Woolen, you bring him in, immediately number 2. Right, and then you can get rid of Xavier Howard. And then at some point, you bring back Jalen Jones. But if you bring in Reek Woolen, you're not so worried about, hey, how early do we need to bring back Jalen Jones? When is the right time? You bring in Reek Woolen, you don't have to worry about that. Just like Kenny Moore. You bring in Mike Hilton, you don't have to hurry Kenny back. Right, so you bring in Reek Woolen. I think that gives us time to bring Jalen Jones back. And then when you bring him back, that would probably force a guy like Jonathan Edwards down to the practice squad. But if we can get our depth back, that'd be great, right? Obviously, it would be nice to have our rookie this year, right? He was supposed to come into the year. He was supposed to be great, right? Justin Wally was supposed to be the number 2 corner. He was supposed to be a guy that, going up against Puka, if Justin Wally's in there, Puka doesn't have 13 catches for 170 yards and a touchdown, right? I honestly believe that. So I think monitoring Reek Woolen is a good idea. How soon would they want to get rid of Reek Woolen? Who knows, right? Would that be sooner rather than later? They might want to wait till trade deadline, which is a little ways away. And at that point, would we need him? But I'll tell you what, you absolutely cannot continue to put Xavier Howard out on the field. You just can't. With what he is the target every game. Whoever he is guarding is going to have a good game. It's every game, and we can't let it continue to happen. We just can't, right? We're going up against the Raiders, matchup that isn't going to be that easy, right? They have Jacoby Myers on one side. They have Brock Bowers at tight end. Well, they have a guy named Trey Tucker. A lot of Colts fans, you may not even know that name unless you play fantasy football, right? Because it's not like a lot of people are paying attention to the Raiders all the time. Trey Tucker is a problem. if you let him become a problem. And the Raiders are trying to find ways to get the ball in his hands. He's an explosive player, and we have to be able to stop him in the game coming up. And I got to imagine we're going to put Charvarius Ward on Jacoby Myers, because Jacoby Myers has proved over time that he's not, elite tier wide receiver one, but he's a good football player. So I expect Jacoby Myers to have the Charvarius Ward shadow, which means you're probably going to see Geno going to the other side of the field a lot, to Trey Tucker, right? And to whoever else they want to line up out there. And you just can't put Xavier Howard on the field and let him be the biggest liability on the defense, right? Latu coming out having the best game of his career, right? The pass rush overall against the Rams, who have a decent offensive line, not great, good at best, really. But even Latu coming out having a good game. Pass rush, I thought, did a good job against Matthew Stafford, who gets the ball out quicker than anybody in football at an average of 2.65 seconds. There was a couple where Latu was coming off the edge quickly and honestly could have had a sack, but Matthew Stafford, I mean, there was one, it was like he gets the ball and like in half a second gets the ball out. If he holds the ball for just a second and a half, Latu probably gets another sack in that game. So, Matthew Stafford did his thing as we expected him to do, but Xavier Howard made it way too easy, and you can't keep rolling him out on the field. You just can't do it, right? For all the blame people are putting on AD about that loss, cool. He cost us 14 points. There's no way around that. We could have won that game. We could have won that game if we had pretty much anybody except for Xavier Howard on the field going against Puka, right? You got to at least, at some point, you got to at least put somebody else out there. You might get the same result, but one way or another, Puka's getting his. You got to find a way to try to stop it, and we didn't do that. So going forward, going to be interested to see what do the Colts decide to do. I think over the first quarter of the season, we've shown that going against bad teams, we're blowing them out. We're doing what we should against bad teams, and we're beating the hell out of them. And then going against good teams, we squeak one out against the Broncos. Shout out to leverage call at the end, helping us get that win there. And then against the Rams, right, somebody who's a Super Bowl contender to a lot of people, right? And we should have won that game pretty handily. Honestly, we should have won that game. And at the end of the day, we end up losing because of mistakes, but we also lose because Xavier Howard is one of the worst corner, maybe the worst starting corner in the NFL right now. If I had to guess, I'd say he's probably up there in terms of worst starting corners in the NFL, maybe the worst. So we got to find an answer there. We got to do something different on the other side of Charvarius Ward, who's really, for the most part, been doing his thing. Exactly what we paid him to come in and do. We don't want to hear his name through the game. If you don't hear about Charvarius Ward through a game, he's doing something right, unless he's getting an interception. But he's played well. He's getting pass breakups, not letting up a lot through the air. It's just the other side of the field that we got to be concerned about. And hopefully get Jalen Carlisle back at some point to be able to guard the middle of the field and do a good job there, although I do think Isaiah Franklin just had his best game of the season. I'm a linebacker. I was watching. I have a tendency to watch the linebackers when I'm watching defense, and I thought Zaire actually played a really good game. Wasn't completely clean, rushed the wrong hole sometimes in the run game, and that's a bit of a problem from your middle linebacker. But nonetheless, at least in terms of coverage, I thought so far he played his best game so far this season. So we'll see. Hopefully we can just keep improving. Expected this defense. It's going to take time through the season. Continue to get better as they continue to get more cemented into the new scheme and really figure out everything that they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to be and the right reads and how everything goes. I expect it to get better as the year goes on, and they've been pretty good so far, but definitely has some things that we need to fix. Xavier Howard being Exhibit A in that category. So you guys let me know what you think about this. We've had the cornerback conversation in weeks past. How you feel? You think Reek Woolen is somebody we should go after? You think Gilly is a guy we should go after? Do you think we should wait and try to see if we can get Asante Samuel Jr.? How you guys feeling about this? You let me know down in the comment section. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on all this. I know we all agree Xavier Howard can't be on the field anymore. So you let me know who you think we should go get to be able to replace him? What should we do instead of rolling Xavier Howard out there? Love to hear from you guys. And of course, if you enjoy the content, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribed with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we drop any content on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.